So tonight we're going to be painting a nice little sunset scene with a silhouette. If you can see my webcam, it's got like the reference picture next to it, but if not, Priscilla will be posting it in the chat. And this works for any kind of sunset you want. You don't have to follow what I do, but yeah, let's get started. Okay, so first of all, you're gonna want your piece of paper. I am using a 9 by 6 inch piece of paper. It's a watercolor paper. And I'm gonna grab my pencil, my trusty little pencil. It's nothing special, it's a mechanical pencil. And I'm gonna start by sketching the horizon line, and that's where the ocean is gonna be meeting the sky. And I'm gonna sketch it lightly, maybe somewhere about a third of the way up from the bottom. And it might be a little bit hard to see what I'm doing on camera. So I actually have a rough, heavy outline of what it should look like. But as you can see right there, I have kind of a little horizon line, and we want to sketch that very lightly. Right over here, I have a little circle for where the sun is. I'm also going to make that very light because when we do watercolors, it'll show up easily. A little line and a circle. So right now it's pretty simple. One horizon line and one little circle for the sun. Next up is the silhouette. That's what's going to go in the front. For the reference picture, we have palm trees, so that's what I'm going to draw. But feel free to draw whatever else you want. For the palm trees, we're going to do 3 nice palm trees. And I'm going to start with the trunk. It's going to be a nice, very thin upwards line, going upwards like so. And you can make it as thin or as thick as you want it to. That's how I went from my first one. Second one's going to kind of come in a curved motion like that. Again, feel free to place the trees however you want them to. And don't worry too much about details at this point. You just kind of want to block out where everything's going to be going. All right, so I've got 2 little trees here. And now for one more, I'm going to make this guy go right in the middle of them. It's going to be a tall one. Very rough, very light. Just enough to know where they're going. All right, so I've got these 3 little trees here. And yours can be however you want them to. For a palm tree, the branches are kind of like little boomerang shapes or little banana shapes, as you can see over here. So I'm just going to lightly sketch that out. And again, once we color it in, we can decide where they'll go. But this is just so I know where every branch is going. Very rough. Don't need to put a lot of detail into it. That one's kind of going off the paper. All right, I got a couple of little banana-shaped branches. That's good enough for me. Finally, for the palm tree, you're gonna want to have some leaves, of course. And for the leaves, I like to just stick with a silhouette at first. You don't have to draw all the leaves, all the individual strands. It's kind of a light little outline for now. Okay, so I have 3 palm trees with their branches and their leaves. So if you're done with that, awesome. If not, no worries. The last part is just going to be the bottom of the scene. That's going to be your foliage, your grass. It's going to be all dark. So I'm just going to indicate that here by doing a little zigzag line. And then maybe a straight line at the bottom, just a very thin one. So I know where that's going. All right. Let's give everyone a minute to finish up their sketches. Again, this is kind of what it should look like, but don't do it as dark as this. Make sure it's light. If you're just joining us, the reference picture will be posted by Priscilla in the chat. So, all right. So, for those of you who are done with your sketch, you can put your pencil aside. Pick up a nice thick paintbrush. I'm using this one that I bought from somewhere. I don't know where it came from, but it works. Nice thick one. And you're gonna wet your brush. We're gonna do what's called a wet on wet technique. This works for not only watercolor, but acrylic, oil, etc. Gonna get some water over there. And you're gonna apply a nice coat of just plain water onto your canvas. And what this does is this lets us get a nice smooth look when we do our paints. It's gonna look a little interesting. You know, it's an unpredictable technique, but that's what makes it look good. All right. So make sure you've kind of primed up the sky over here. We're gonna start with the sky. You can use the back of your hand to see how damp it is. I think this is a good dampness. Add a bit more water. All right, so let's make sure everyone has their canvases primed with water. Let's talk about colors now. So in a sunset, there are very distinct colors. Closest to the sun, we have yellow. Then moving up, it goes to orange, red, purple, and then a dark blue. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. Let's start off. Now, if you have the same watercolor set as I do, feel free to use the same colors that I use, but otherwise, choose your favorite shade of yellow, choose your favorite shade of orange. It's all up to you. I'm gonna go with this yellow right here. It's a nice light yellow. And I'm gonna start by doing a few horizontal lines right above the horizon line. Just like so. And right where the sun is, be careful not to paint over that because the sun's gonna be left white. All right, as long as you can go over the sun. Got a nice layer of yellow. And don't worry about your horizontal strokes being too even. That actually looks a little unnatural. Just feel free, just do those horizontal strokes with yellow. All right, and if it's looking a little too light, don't worry. Watercolors are meant to be colored over again and again with layers. So it's perfectly fine, we can always go back. All right, so if you're still working on that yellow part, feel free to keep working on the yellow part. We're gonna start moving up now. So if you don't have, I have this kind of in between of yellow and orange, yellow-orange, I guess. But if you don't have that, just mix orange and yellow together. I'm gonna go with this one right here. And that's gonna be the next layer going up. You can see it's a little more orange, a little darker, but still has that little hint of yellow in it. One more. All right. Go ahead and feel my canvas and make sure that it's still a little bit wet. And now I'm gonna go ahead and go with this orange color right here. And the great thing about using wet on wet is that the colors blend naturally, so it looks like a nice gradient moving upwards. All right, so you should be around halfway up your sky. That's how it is for me. And now I'm going to move on with a red color. I'm going to choose this red right here. Make sure your red is a little bit on the cool end. It's very bold red. That's okay. As we move down into the orange, it's going to blend nicely, just like that. If you feel like some of your strokes are a little too heavy on the ink, feel free to add a bit more water. Just like that. Okay, awesome. So now we have our yellow moving up into orange, moving up into red. Next comes purple. For the purple, I like to actually mix it up with the red beforehand. So I'm using this purple right here. Use a little bit more purple. All right, so now I'm almost to the very top of the paper, as you can see, and that's where a blue is going to be. And this kind of blue is going to be more of a dark, kind of almost purpley blue. And for that, I'm going to go with this blue right here. It's got kind of this bold, deep color, which is a bit actually a bit too deep for me. So I'm going to mix it with some purple. If you do have a shade of blue that you want to use, go ahead and use that. Whatever looks the best to you. All right, we're going to test this out. Let's see how it looks. All right. It's a bit more on the purple end, so I might add a bit more blue. Other than that, this is a good looking color. All right. So that's our first layer of sky. And if we want to make this look darker or more saturated, all we're going to do is we're going to build up using the same kind of colors. Right down here, my skies are going to dry up right where the yellows are. So I feel like going back in there, adding another layer of yellow. I'm going to try to keep the area around the sun lighter And the rest is because that's our light source. Then I'm going to do the same thing with orange.
That's looking pretty good, David. All right. Just wanted to remind everyone that these sessions are recorded, so you can always go back to the Health Promotions Services YouTube channel and rewatch the sessions on your own time. Last week, Yen did, one of our Zone interns did a cute little landscape. It was pretty nice. I rewatched it myself and did the painting. It's pretty awesome. And just to remind everyone that these painting sessions happen every Thursday of odd weeks. So for instance, week 6, 8 are gonna happen again. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us again.
Thanks for the reminder, Priscilla. And we're doing the same thing here. Now, the top is feeling a little wet to me, so I'm going to wait. But if the top of your sky is feeling a bit dry, then feel free to go ahead and add in that layer of blue or purple, whatever you want in your sunset. Those of you who want to get a little bit fancier, I like having clouds in all my sunsets. I love clouds, they look awesome. I'm not the best at doing them with watercolors, but I'm going to try and at least go through what the technique is like. I'm going to add some clouds here in the orange area. You don't have to do this. I'm just adding some flare while I wait for this to dry. But because it's in the orange area, a lot of the light is going to hit the bottom of the cloud, and whatever's on the top of the cloud is going to be a bit darker. So I'm actually going to go with kind of a orange reddish, just to outline the top of my cloud. This is just for fun. It's clouds. Let's see. It's a little bit wet. It's good to wait for your paper to dry before you do another layer, because you run the risk of tearing up the paper a little bit, especially if you're using a weaker paper that isn't watercolor paper. It's a little dot there. It's a mistake. It's gone. All right, I'm going to start by mixing the blues, I think. Getting a little impatient. So let's see what we can do here. I wanted more blue than purple, so that's what I'm going to do. Feel free to do whatever looks best for your painting. And I'm going to actually go in the corners here. And it's a nice blue. It's looking good. I'm coming from the corners and then gradually work my way in and down. And at this point, we're basically just playing around with colors. Feel free to experiment, try new things. Do be careful not to mix your blue with a yellow, because that's going to make your paint look gray and muddy. So unless you are going for that look, maybe a stormy sunset, I wouldn't recommend it. I'm actually going to switch up my brushes. I'm going to go with this smaller one, but not too small. And I'm just going to work in some more details in the sky. feel like going in the red area for today. So I'm just gonna paint some more of those clouds. And here, because I've got a lot of ink pulled up, I'm actually gonna use water to help and spread it out. I've got a very long looking cloud here. Ooh. And I'm going to rework some of the orange clouds just as I wait for the canvas to dry up a little bit more. All right, feeling like I could use a bit more blue now. Once again, I'm going to work in from the corners. The great thing about wet on wet is you get this little diffused look. It spreads out nicely. It's a bit unpredictable how the paint will go, but it adds a nice natural look to your sunset. And again, if there's some more blending you want to do, just wet your brush with some water and then work around the area that you want to spread out. So I might spread out some of this cloud here. It's looking a bit dense over there. Maybe I'll play with purple for a bit. Again, this is all experimentation. This is all playing around. As long as what you paint makes you happy, it's all that matters. All right, I've got a decent looking sunset here. This is good for me. If you want to keep working on the sky, feel free to do so. I'm going to start working on the ocean. And the ocean is basically just a reflection of the sky. And so we're going to do the same exact kind of thing we did before, except we're going to try to make the colors a little bit darker than the sky. And we're also going to do this little reflection effect on the sun. So if you ever looked at a sunset with an ocean and you saw the sun right at the horizon, there's like those white lines on the water. That's exactly what we're doing. And to achieve that, we're just going to do a zigzag pattern, and we're not going to paint in where we want the reflection to go. So once more, I'm going to wet my brush. I'm going to go for my lightest yellow, and right where the horizon line is, I kind of want to leave that very light. So I'm actually going to try to leave a very, very thin gap. And right about here, I'm going to try to make a few zigzags just to give the illusion that there's a reflection. Just like so. Hopefully you can see that. All right, there's my little zigzag lines. That's my reflection. And one more layer of yellow. Same thing as before. We're going to grab your favorite orange and slowly build towards the bottom. Careful not to paint over reflections, but if you do paint over where your reflection's going, don't worry. It should be light, and you can always dab that area with a light paper towel. Here I'm just gonna blend in the yellow a bit more with the orange. All right, so I've got my yellow, my orange, a little reflection line over there, and I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna use the red here. Let's get a lot of red. And you don't have to bring the reflection all the way to the front. I'm gonna actually end mine right here. And that's a lot of red dye, so I'm going to spread it out with a bit of water. Bring it down like so. All right, and down here, once more, we want our color to be very dark. So I'm gonna go with this purple once again. Here I'm actually painting the entire paper, but feel free to add a border around yours. Maybe it's too late for that, but that's okay. And now I'm gonna take some gray or some black, and I'm gonna mix it with a bit of blue and a bit of purple. Just so we can get a very dark hue. Let's see how that turned out. Could be darker. Okay. And now, just like with this dye, we're gonna go in once again with another layer. Make sure your paper is dry. Mine is a little wet. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. Those of y'all who might need to catch up. All right, I'm looking at my painting. I think I would like a little bit more blue in mine. So after this dries up, I'm gonna add some more blue and black at the bottom. Feel free to adjust your painting however you want to. All right, I'm gonna add that layer of yellow now. And again, I like to come out from the edges. And work my way in. You can see it's a little bit more saturated than the yellow in the sky. That's good, that's the effect that we want. All right. And I'm gonna go for the orange, get a good amount of that on my paintbrush. Doing the same zigzag technique right where the reflection is. And again, this technique works for any sunset, any kind of scenery you want to do. You can pick your favorite sunset picture and try to recreate it using this method. All right, I'm gonna go for that nice deep red. Ooh, look at that. All right, so you can see how this red, once again, is a little bit deeper and darker than the red in the sky. And finally, I said I wanted a bit more dark blue and black at the bottom. So I'm gonna try to go for that. I'm gonna be mixing this up. Going for some gray and then going for that blue. Let's see how that turned out. All right. Still a little bit more purple than I expected. But at this point, it's very wet. You can kind of see these little splotches on the paper. And so I'm just gonna let it rest. And if your paper is dry, feel free to work through the layers again. After I add a couple layers to this ocean, we're gonna work on the silhouette. And the great thing about a silhouette is that you don't have to worry too much about the details. You could put palm trees, you could put the figure of a person, you could put just about anything that has a shape. And for the silhouettes, actually, I try to stay away from using pure black. I like to mix in gray with purple or blue first and see how that turns out. Adds a little bit more vibrancy to your dark shadows. So I'm touching the paper, it's still very wet. I'm actually lifting up some of the paint, which is bad, but that's okay. While I'm waiting then, I'm gonna start mixing the colors for my silhouettes. So again, it's gonna be kind of a gray or black color. It's your choice. With another very dark, cool color like purple. All right, just for the sake of time, I'm going to try that blue color one more time. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. There we go. So I'm getting a very dark purple down there. Gonna be careful not to go up to where the orange is, or else it's gonna look muddy. But I think that's good for me. So I'm gonna put this big brush to rest. And I'm gonna try to go for a thinner brush. Now I do have this fancy, I don't really know what you call it, but it came with the paintbrush kit. It's got water in it. You can also use this a very thin paintbrush. Whatever works best for you. But I'm gonna try this one because it has a very thin tip, and that's gonna be good for getting our branches and also getting our trunks. So once again, I'm gonna use the back of my hand, see if it's dry. The sky's definitely relatively dry. So I'm gonna go for that dark gray, purple, blue mixture that I made before. And I'm gonna start painting one trunk. So use more water. This is a very light trunk. Again, this is actually going to be done over again in a layer. So don't worry about it being too straight or too perfect. Tree trunks come in many sizes and shapes. And here you can choose which one you want to do. That's my first trunk. Now I'm going to go with my second trunk. This one's going to come all the way down. He's a little bit thicker. That's okay. Variety is good. That's going to come all the way down to the bottom. All right, we got 2 tree trunks. Now we're gonna finish up with this third one. This one I kind of drew him like in the middle here. He's gonna be stemming up from the bottom. Ooh, it's a wobbly tree trunk. That one's gonna come up all the way to the top there. Okay, so if you have your tree trunks, we're gonna continue by adding the branches. And again, these are like little boomerang shapes, little banana shapes, and we wanna make sure that they're stemming from the very top of the trunks. So I'm gonna start by going over here. Or done. You can make them as long or as short as you want them. Add as many as you'd like. Again, here I'm just going over the trunks and the branches one more time. And I am going to be using that gray or black. I think this has dried up very quickly, actually. So it should be safe for me to go back in and repaint that.
Awesome job, David.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Hi, everyone. This is Priscilla again, one of the Zone interns. Just to remind everyone that came in a little late that these sessions are recorded and they will be available next week in the Health Promotion Services YouTube channel if you want to rewatch it, as well as the other T-Pain nights. For instance, the one that happened last week was the landscape. So if you want to rewatch that, again, it's in the YouTube channel. Next Thursday of week 8, we're going to have another tea and paint night if you want to join us again, 6 to 7 p.m. And it's going to be a story night. If y'all would like to see what the picture potentially will look like, just let me know and I will link attach the file to the chat. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks for the reminder, Priscilla. All right. So I've got my funky looking tree branches here. They're not perfect, but they look like tree branches. I'm gonna start by working on the leaves, and the leaves are gonna hang down. You can have an individual strand like that, or you can have some of them bunched together with a little bit of space poking in between. And you can just go ahead and vary that. My paintbrush is a little bit on the thicker side, so my leaves are going to look a little bit thick as well. But that's the idea. I'm going to have all little leaf friends hanging down. They're going to be a little bit thinner at the bottom and thicker at the top. You can vary their length. And for the leaves that are kind of in the back, don't have to draw them all the way down. So I'm just going to go through every branch, give it some friends. I'm feeling adventurous. I'm going to add a little coconut here, a little circle. Here's my little coconut. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there he is, sitting there. Again, you don't have to add a coconut. I just felt like it. But if you wanted, you could add 1, 2, 3, as many coconuts as you want. There's a question in the chat about getting better brushes. I personally have mainly only used very cheap ones. It's because I actually do more digital painting than traditional painting. But if you look online, I'm sure there's a bunch of resources. Priscilla, do you have anything to add on to that, perhaps?
I found a good set of wash brushes because I don't really use watercolor that often. I mainly use wash, which is pretty similar, but around the $10, and they look pretty fancy. So yeah.
Did you get those online?
Yeah, I got them on Amazon. So there's a lot of cool options online. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Priscilla. All right, so at this point, all I'm doing is going back in and making everything a bit darker. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm gonna leave it at that. Looks like a silhouette, looks like a palm tree to me. Or if it's not a palm tree, it's at least some tree, right? The last part is gonna be the foliage at the bottom. And if it's not foliage, it could be anything else you want. But I'm gonna draw some blades of grass. I'm just gonna do some quick flicking motions with my brush, just so I get that thin tip at the top and a bit of a fatter edge at the bottom. And I'm gonna just kind of spread out my strokes. Hopefully you all can see that, but I'm adding that layer of gray, black at the bottom. And once again, the great thing about silhouettes is that you can put anything. I could put a little dude on the beach if I wanted to. Let's add a dude on the beach. Add a small dude on the beach. He's pretty small. It's all the way out there. Right. And I'm actually going to taper this foliage in the front off. So as I get closer to the right side, I'm going to add less and less of it. Until it kind of disappears. And at this point, most of the painting should be dry already. So if you want to go back and maybe touch up some clouds, add some more color to the sky, feel free to do so. For me, I think I would add some deeper blues in the sky, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that on the stream. Again, same concept, just going back in, adding more layers of paint. And that is essentially the sunset with silhouettes. And this is something that can work for any kind of reference. So you can pick out your favorite sunsets and try to use that. You can use something other than the palm tree, use something other than grass. I added this little person here. I don't think y'all can see that guy, but the great thing is that I don't have to draw any details. Maybe I'll add like a little surfboard. Oh, there's something on the beach, but you can do whatever you want with the painting. But that is pretty much it from me. I'll be sticking around until about past 7, but thank you all for joining. I hope you all had a good time tonight. If there's any questions, feel free to chime in with voice chat or ask in the chat. Thank you.